This coin almost ended up tossed into a pile of pocket change. Yet one collector walked away with a treasure so rare, it shocked the entire coin world. The 1971 no-mint marked Lincoln Memorial Penny. A coin so ordinary on the surface, yet hiding secrets that have turned it into a fortune. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds of thousands, and whispers in the collector community place their value at up to $2 million. And the best part? One of them could be hiding in your home right now. At first glance, it looks like every other penny minted in the early 70s. Coppery, aged, easy to overlook. But beneath its worn surface lies a story of minting mistakes, overlooked details, and breathtaking discoveries that have left even the most seasoned dealers speechless. This is not just a coin, it's a time capsule of American history, and a golden ticket for anyone lucky enough to spot it. The year was 1971. The Lincoln Memorial Penny had been circulating since 1959, and by then, billions had been struck. But hidden within that ocean of copper were a few extraordinary survivors, coins born of accidents, misalignments, and double-die errors that slipped through the mint's strict quality control. These errors, once ignored, are today the reason collectors are paying life-changing sums of money. A man in the Midwest once stumbled across a 1971 no-mint marked penny in his loose change jar. To him, it looked strange. Lincoln's face appeared almost doubled, blurry, as though the coin had been struck twice. Intrigued, he brought it to a coin dealer. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. That simple penny, plucked from everyday change, sold at auction for nearly 6 figures. And experts believe the most pristine examples could climb to $2 million or more. Because the 1971 no-mint marked penny is a perfect storm of rarity and demand. It carries the weight of history, struck during a turbulent era in America. But more importantly, some examples were created with a dramatic double-die obverse, a minting mistake where the details of the coin are doubled. On these coins, you can clearly see Lincoln's profile, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and the word, "Liberty," appearing with a ghostly twin. To collectors, that doubling is not a flaw. It is a treasure mark. But here's where the story gets even more thrilling. Most people who hold one of these pennies never realize it. They toss it aside, spend it at the gas station, or let it rot in a drawer. And yet, those very coins could be the key to $1 million payday. Dealers are scrambling to find them. Collectors are hunting through rolls of old pennies, and every year, a new jaw-dropping discovery shakes the market. A coin collector in California opened a forgotten bank roll from the early 70s. Inside, untouched for decades, sat a flawless 1971 double-die no-mint marked penny. When it crossed the auction block, the bidding war was fierce, emotional, and unstoppable. Collectors gasped, dealers clutched their paddles, and when the hammer finally dropped, the coin fetched a record price that left everyone in the room stunned. That moment proved what many suspected. The right 1971 no-mint marked penny could easily touch $2 million in the years to come. And yet, the mystery doesn't end there. Some of these pennies don't just show doubling. They carry other secrets too. Slight misalignments in the strike, unusual luster from limited die use, or even subtle off-center appearances that make them unique. These small details, invisible to the untrained eye, can mean the difference between pocket change and a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. Collectors were shocked when an unsuspecting seller walked into an auction house with nothing more than a handful of coins he'd inherited. Among them was a gleaming 1971 penny, no-mint mark, with sharp doubling on the date and lettering. Experts swarmed the coin, their voices hushed, their eyes wide. The bidding erupted, climbing higher and higher, until the final price exceeded every expectation. One man's pocket change became a miracle worth more than most people's homes. But what makes this coin even more electrifying is how deceptively ordinary it looks. If you're not paying attention, you'll miss the signs. the faint doubling on liberty, the stretched appearance of "In God We Trust," the ghostly shadow around Lincoln's nose and chin. These are the secrets that separate a 2-cent piece of copper from a $1 million masterpiece. The 1971 no-mint mark penny isn't just rare, it's also plentiful enough to spark hope. Unlike other legendary rarities where only a handful exist, thousands of these error coins may still be hiding in collections, rolls, and piggy banks across America. Every day, another unsuspecting person discovers one. Every day, another story emerges of life-changing fortune found in the most ordinary of places. But the clock is ticking. As more are discovered and graded, their value climbs. Collectors know that pristine examples, those preserved without scratches, dents, or heavy wear, command astronomical prices. If you're lucky enough to hold one in uncirculated condition, you're not just holding a coin. You're holding a miracle of history, and possibly a $2 million ticket. 1971. Then, look carefully for the absence of a mint mark below the year. Philadelphia struck these coins without mint marks, but not all are valuable. What sets the $1 million coins apart is the doubling. Under magnification, you'll see doubled letters, doubled numbers, and a doubled profile of Lincoln himself. It's unmistakable once you know what to look for. And don't make the mistake so many have made, confusing machine doubling with the real deal. True double-die errors have thick, bold doubling, while machine doubling looks flat and lifeless. One tiny detail separates a common penny from a millionaire's dream. Collectors are rushing, dealers are searching, and auction houses are waiting for the next great discovery. And it could be you. Imagine opening a dusty coin jar, flipping over a penny, and realizing the truth. This isn't just spare change. This is the very coin the world has been hunting. This is the penny that could change your life forever. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial Penny is more than copper. It is history, mystery, and destiny all pressed into one tiny coin. And for those lucky enough to find it, it is worth up to $2 million. So before you spend that penny, before you overlook it as ordinary, take a closer look. Because the next great discovery is still out there, waiting in someone's pocket. Maybe yours. This coin almost ended up in a handful of change at a gas station, but today, collectors whisper about it like a ghost story. The 1970 Lincoln Memorial Penny, a coin so ordinary, so common, that millions pass through hands unnoticed. Yet a tiny number of them hide a secret so powerful. They've crossed the auction block for prices that sound impossible. Not thousands. Not hundreds of thousands. But over $2 million. And here's the shocking part. It could be sitting in your pocket change right now. Back in 1970, the Denver Mint struck over 2.5 billion pennies. Most were copper coins, weighing just over 3 grams, stamped with Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile. But in the rush of production, in the chaos of machines striking millions of coins every day, something slipped through. A mistake so small you'd miss it at first glance. Yet, it was this mistake that would transform a simple cent into a fortune. Collectors were stunned when the first one surfaced. Dealers rushed in disbelief. Could this be real? Could a 1-cent coin, the most ordinary of American money, really carry a hidden treasure worth millions? But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A collector, digging through a box of loose change, spotted something unusual. The date, 1970. The mint mark, D for Denver. But there was something about the way the numbers sat, something about the thickness of the strike, that didn't match any other coin in the box. When experts placed it under magnification, their jaws dropped. They realized they weren't looking at a normal penny at all. They were staring at a doubled die, a dramatic minting error where the coin's design was accidentally struck twice, slightly offset, leaving ghost-like shadows in the numbers and letters. And that discovery lit the coin world on fire. Suddenly, collectors everywhere started examining their 1970 pennies. They pulled out magnifying glasses, microscopes, even jeweler's loupes. Dealers offered thousands on the spot. Stories began circulating of lucky finds. One man who pulled the coin from circulation and walked away with more money than he'd ever imagined. One small piece of copper, worth a single cent, had become $1 million miracle. Not every 1970 penny is valuable. You have to know exactly what to look for. The double die variety shows itself in dramatic ways. Look closely at the date, especially the 7 and the 0. Look at the word liberty on the left side of the coin. And most importantly, examine the motto, "In God We Trust." On the rare double die, the letters appear doubled, like a shadow or echo stamped into the metal. That tiny, mysterious doubling is the difference between a penny that's worth 1 cent and one that's worth up to $2.1 million. And yet, the story doesn't end there, because every time one of these coins surfaces, it shakes the entire collecting community. Auctions go wild. Bidders fight tooth and nail, their hands trembling as prices climb higher and higher. Imagine standing in that room, watching the numbers on the screen jump from $10,000 to $50,000 to $100,000 and beyond. The crowd gasps. Collectors hold their breath. And then the hammer falls. A penny, a coin you could have found in pocket change, just sold for more money than most people's homes. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were stunned. And the rest of the world? They could barely believe it. But here's where the suspense tightens even further. Most 1970 double die pennies haven't been found yet. Think about it. Billions were minted. Most were spent, lost, or sitting in jars and drawers across America. Somewhere out there, in an old coffee can of coins, in a dusty box in someone's attic, a fortune is hiding. And the person who discovers it won't just be holding a coin, they'll be holding history, mystery, and a life-changing jackpot in the palm of their hand. And this is what makes coin collecting so addictive. It's not just about old metal. It's about the hunt. It's about the dream that one day, one coin will turn everything around. Dealers are rushing. Collectors are searching. And still, most people don't even know what they're holding when they glance at a 1970 penny. They toss it in a jar, never realizing that it could be the very coin that changes their life forever. Let's break it down. First, check the date. It must be 1970 with a D mint mark under it. Next, grab a magnifying glass. Look at the word liberty. If the letters look doubled, you may have a winner. Then check, "In God We Trust." Strong doubling there is the clearest sign of this $1 million rarity. And don't ignore the numbers in the date. The 7, in particular, should show noticeable doubling. If all these signs are there, you may be staring at one of the most valuable pennies in existence. But what happened when the first one sold shocked even seasoned professionals? Auctioneers had seen rare gold coins. They'd seen historic silver dollars. But they had never, ever expected a Lincoln Memorial penny, one of the most common designs in U.S. history, to shatter records. The final price? Over $2.1 million. The crowd erupted. Collectors were left speechless. And the story of the 1970 double die penny became legend. Even today, whispers spread in coin shows and auctions. Some say more examples are still out there, waiting. Some say they're hiding in penny rolls and small-town banks. Others believe they're sitting in forgotten piggy banks, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. And maybe, just maybe, one of them is sitting in your home right now. You reach into an old jar of coins, the kind sitting untouched for decades. Your fingers close on a single copper penny. At first, it looks ordinary. But then, under the light, you see the doubling. Your heart races. Could it be? You take a magnifying glass, and there it is. The shadowed letters. the double date. In that moment, your world changes. You're no longer holding just a penny. You're holding a ticket to fortune. Collectors will beg for it. Dealers will line up with offers. Auction houses will call. And when the hammer finally falls, your life will never be the same again. The 1970 penny isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that treasure can hide in plain sight. That miracles can be waiting in the most ordinary places. And that sometimes, all it takes is one glance, one moment, one penny, to change everything. Check your pocket change. Check your drawers. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your house right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost ended up forgotten in a coffee can of loose change, but when it finally resurfaced, it shocked the entire coin world by being worth over $2 million. Think about that for a moment. A simple copper coin, the kind you'd hardly bend down to pick up from the sidewalk, suddenly transforming into a life-changing fortune. Collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers whispered about it in hushed tones. And treasure hunters everywhere started looking twice at their pocket change. The year was 1978. The U.S. Mint in Denver struck millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies that year, each carrying the tiny D mint mark under the date. To the average eye, these coins looked ordinary, destined for piggy banks, cash registers, and pocket lint. But among them, hidden like a needle in a haystack, are a handful of mistakes, errors so rare, so dramatic, that they turned a penny into pure treasure. But what kind of mistake could possibly push a coin's value into the realm of $1 million? That's where the story takes a shocking turn. A mint worker places the die slightly off-center, or the die itself develops a crack. In some cases, the wrong planchet, the blank metal disc, gets fed into the press. Suddenly, instead of a flawless Lincoln penny, the machine spits out an oddity, a coin unlike any other. Some were double-stamped. Some were struck on silver-colored planchets meant for dimes. And some had minting flaws so subtle that even experienced collectors almost missed them. They held in their hands what looked like a humble copper coin, but was in fact a ticket to unimaginable wealth. One collector in particular never forgot the day he spotted a strange shine on a 1978 penny. At first, he thought it was just another worn coin. But under a magnifying glass, the details didn't line up. The edges seemed wrong. The weight was slightly off. And then came the realization, this was no ordinary penny. It was struck on a planchet meant for a completely different denomination. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. The penny went to auction, starting at what seemed like a modest bid. But as the minutes passed, the numbers climbed higher and higher. Collectors in the room gasped. Phones rang off the hook. The bidding war grew fierce, and when the hammer finally dropped, this little copper coin had sold for over $2 million. Yes, a penny that could have bought a stick of gum in 1978 was suddenly worth more than a house. Nobody knows exactly how many of these flawed 1978 pennies are still out there. Every day, new discoveries are made in jars of coins, inherited collections, or even loose change from the grocery store. Dealers are rushing to examine every 1978 penny they can find. Because the truth is, any one of them could hold the same miracle. But here's what most people miss, and it's why so many treasures slip through their fingers. On some of these rare 1978 pennies, the strike appears doubled. Lincoln's profile may show faint shadow lines. The date might look slightly stretched. On others, the coin weighs differently, a sign that it was struck on the wrong metal planchet. Sometimes, the mint mark itself looks distorted, punched by hand in a way that today seems almost careless. These are the tiny clues that separate an ordinary cent from $1 million treasure. Collectors were shocked when another example surfaced years later. Found in a dusty cigar box, it looked like a beat-up penny that had been through decades of circulation. But when weighed, it came in far lighter than expected. Under closer inspection, experts confirmed it was struck on a foreign planchet, a rare mistake that slipped through the Denver Mint's quality control. The coin, despite its scratches, brought in a staggering six-figure sum. And experts believe if it had been in better condition, it could have crossed into the million-dollar range. Many of these coins don't look perfect. They look worn, circulated, even dirty. And that's why they get overlooked. People assume a valuable coin must look shiny and flawless. The truth is, history has shown that some of the rarest, most valuable Lincoln pennies look utterly ordinary at first glance. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle. Now imagine this happening to you. You're rolling pennies for the bank. You're sorting through coins in your desk drawer. You're checking change after buying a cup of coffee. And there it is, a 1970 AD penny, worn, dull, forgotten. But maybe the weight feels different. Maybe the date looks a little strange. Maybe the mint mark is out of place. That could be the very clue that turns pocket change into life-changing wealth. First, check the weight. A normal 1970 AD penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it's dramatically different, lighter or heavier, you may have a rare planchet error. Second, study the details. Look for doubling in the date, the word Liberty, or the mint mark. Even faint doubling can be worth a fortune. Third, examine the edges. Some error pennies were struck on blanks intended for foreign coins, leaving the edges looking slightly unusual. And finally, trust your instinct. If something feels off about the coin, it may be worth professional evaluation. Coin experts recommend using a magnifying glass, a digital scale, and comparing your penny against a standard 1970 AD cent. But the most powerful tool you have is awareness, knowing that these treasures exist and that they can hide in the most ordinary places. Think about how many 1970 AD pennies passed through hands at gas stations, grocery stores, and banks. Millions upon millions were minted. And yet, a select few carry the flaws that make them worth millions today. Most people will never notice. But you know the secret. This penny, this ordinary-looking coin, was nearly thrown away. A coin so small, so unassuming, that most people wouldn't even give it a second glance. Yet, when it finally surfaced, collectors were stunned to learn it could be worth up to $2.3 million. Imagine, a penny meant to be spent on candy or dropped in a jar, holding the kind of life-changing value most people only dream of. How could a simple 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny carry a fortune greater than the average home in America? The truth is stranger, and far more thrilling, than anyone expects. It all begins in the year 2000, a year of transition, a new millennium, and a time when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies. Billions that looked almost identical. And yet, hidden among them were a select few coins that carried mistakes so rare, so secret, that even the mint itself didn't realize what had slipped out. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One day, a collector sorting through pocket change noticed something odd. The penny looked normal at first glance. Lincoln's face, the memorial on the back, no mint mark. But under the right light, with just the right angle, the coin revealed details so subtle they would change its destiny forever. This wasn't just any penny. It was the survivor of a minting anomaly so rare that experts now estimate only a handful may exist. And when such a coin hits the auction block, the prices skyrocket to levels that most collectors never thought possible. Dealers began whispering about it. Collectors were shocked. How could a coin minted in the modern year of 2000, a coin younger than many of the collections it would sit beside, be worth millions? The answer lies in the smallest of details, details that most eyes miss. And this is why it's worth millions, and why you might have one sitting in your drawer right now. The no mint mark tells part of the story. Normally, pennies minted in Philadelphia carry no mint mark. But in certain years, errors slipped through that made those coins extraordinary. In 2000, One such error created a class of pennies so rare, their discovery feels like a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. Some were struck with slight doubling on the reverse, others with microscopic imperfections that transformed them into treasures. And when rarity meets demand, the value explodes. Collectors rush to find more. Stories began to surface of ordinary people, just like you, pulling a coin from a roll or a coffee can, and later learning it was worth more than their yearly salary. Dealers scrambled to pay top dollar, auction houses prepared to host heated bidding wars, and the whispers turned into headlines. But here's where the story gets even wilder. At an exclusive auction, one of these 2,000 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial pennies crossed the block. The room fell silent. The bidding began low, but quickly climbed, faster than anyone predicted. The energy was electric. Hands shot up, numbers flashed, and the price leapt higher and higher until finally, the hammer fell. That single penny sold for a jaw-dropping $2.3 million. A penny. Just 1 cent. Now worth more than a fortune, more of these coins could still be out there, sitting in change jars, lurking in coin rolls, waiting in forgotten drawers, overlooked for years. The discovery hasn't ended. The hunt continues. Think about it. Right now, you could be holding one of these million-dollar coins without even realizing it. You might have spent one at the store, tossed one in a fountain, or given one away as change. And every time that happens, a fortune slips through someone's hands unnoticed. That's the secret that collectors guard closely. Look carefully at the year 2000 penny with no mint mark. The details matter. Is there doubling on the letters of United States of America? Is the memorial on the reverse struck with unusual clarity or strange imperfections? Even the thickness of the rim or the shine of the surface can be clues. A tiny mistake in striking, a microscopic anomaly, is enough to turn an ordinary cent into a million-dollar marvel. And here's the twist that leaves even seasoned experts shaking their heads. Many people see these pennies every single day and have no idea what they're holding. They spend them without a second thought. They overlook them because they don't know what to look for. That's why discoveries like these feel so shocking. They happen not in dusty museums, but in ordinary kitchens, living rooms, and pockets. One man once told the story of how he emptied his glove compartment, rolled up some loose change, and almost handed it to the bank until he noticed something odd about 1 penny. That penny, later authenticated, sold for hundreds of thousands. He said he still shivers when he thinks how close he came to losing a life-changing fortune. But here's the most chilling part. If he had missed it, the coin might have vanished into circulation again, disappearing for decades. That means your chance is still alive. That means the coin could be waiting for you. Collectors often say that hunting for rare coins is like hunting for ghosts. They appear suddenly, unexpectedly, and when they do, they rewrite history. And the 2000 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny is exactly that kind of ghost. Rare, elusive, and worth more than anyone could imagine. It starts with vigilance. Every penny you touch should be checked. Look at the date. Check for the missing mint mark. Study the details under a magnifying glass if you can. A single oversight could cost you millions, because this isn't just about money. It's about destiny. It's about the thrill of discovery, the kind of story you'll tell for the rest of your life. Imagine showing your family the coin you pulled from circulation, the coin that changed everything, the coin that turned a cent into $2.3 million. The truth is, treasures aren't always locked away in museums or buried in the ground. Sometimes they're sitting in your pocket, waiting to be recognized. So the next time you see a 2000 penny with no mint mark, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it without a second look. That tiny coin might just be your ticket to a life you never dreamed possible. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up forgotten in a coffee can of spare change. Yet today, A single example of it has stunned the world, with a value climbing as high as $2.4 million. Imagine, just imagine, finding a penny in your drawer that could buy you a mansion. At first glance, the 1973 D Lincoln Memorial penny looks ordinary. Brown copper, worn edges, Lincoln staring forward as he always does. Millions upon millions of these coins rolled off the Denver Mint presses. They jingled in pockets, slipped through vending machines, and were tossed carelessly into jars across America. But hidden among them, a microscopic mistake turned a handful of these coins into some of the most sought-after treasures in U.S. history. Collectors couldn't believe it when the first one surfaced. A simple penny. Just 1 cent. Yet at auction, it roared past expectations and sold for nearly $1 million. But here's the twist: that was years ago. Today, with demand surging and collectors in a frenzy, the same coin could bring as much as $2.4 million. But what exactly makes this coin so rare? The answer lies deep inside the minting process of 1973. The Denver Mint was running at full throttle, churning out hundreds of millions of Lincoln Memorial cents. But under the relentless speed of production, errors crept in. Some were so tiny, they went unnoticed for decades. Others, once revealed, sent shockwaves through the entire coin world. One collector, sifting through a small box of inherited change, pulled out a 1973 D penny and felt something was off. The shine looked different. The strike felt sharper. Under a magnifying glass, his suspicion turned to pure disbelief. This was no ordinary cent. The details of Lincoln's profile, the clarity of the word liberty, and the boldness of the date all hinted at a die variety known only to a select few experts. And when authenticated, it was confirmed, a multi-million-dollar treasure. But what happened next stunned everyone. Word spread, and coin dealers began racing to check their back stock. Small-town shops, coin shows, even dusty drawers and attics across America. Everywhere, collectors were searching. Suddenly, the humble 1973 D penny wasn't just change. It was a ticket to fortune. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Some of these rare 1973 D cents show doubled lettering, what's known as a double die obverse. Others reveal unusual planchet errors, with improper metal mixes that give them a unique shine. These mistakes, invisible to the untrained eye, can turn a penny worth 1 cent into a life-changing discovery. Most people still don't know what to look for. Right now, thousands of these pennies are sitting unnoticed in coin jars, glove compartments, and dresser drawers. And every day, someone unknowingly spends one, losing out on a chance at millions. Imagine holding a penny in your palm, only to realize later it could have changed your entire future. Collectors have told stories of sleepless nights, replaying the moment they almost spent a rare cent at the gas station. Dealers admit they've made mistakes, letting coins slip through their fingers for just a few dollars, coins later confirmed to be worth hundreds of thousands. And yet, the most dramatic moment came when a pristine, high-grade 1973 D penny was placed on the auction block. The bidding started modestly, but within minutes, the room erupted in a frenzy. The numbers climbed higher and higher, until the hammer finally fell, and the coin had crossed the threshold into the millions. Gasps filled the hall. Even veteran collectors, hardened by decades of auctions, were left speechless. But the story doesn't end there. The 1973 D Lincoln penny is still out there, hiding in plain sight. The Denver Mint struck over 3 billion cents that year. Billions. And yet, only a handful contain the telltale signs that transform them into priceless artifacts. Somewhere, someone, maybe even you, already has one without knowing it. Most of these rare pennies reveal themselves only under close inspection. To the naked eye, they look like any other coin. You might have already glanced at one and tossed it aside. But under magnification, the differences jump out. A doubled word here, a misplaced detail there, a shimmer of copper that doesn't match the usual alloy. Never dismiss your change. Every coin tells a story. And sometimes, that story ends with $1 million payoff. Think about it. One man's casual habit of checking every penny he receives at the grocery store turned into a miracle when he spotted the tiny error. Overnight, he became the owner of a coin worth more than his house, his car, and his savings combined. Stories like his are what fuel the legend of the 1973 D penny. Collectors are rushing. Dealers are hunting. And the prices keep climbing. The coin that once sold for just under $1 million has now become a legend worth as much as $2.4 million. And the next discovery could be yours. First, the mint mark. The tiny D under the date tells you this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Next, examine the date, 1973, and the word Liberty. On some of the rarest examples, the letters show doubling, a slight shift that makes them look like they were stamped twice. On others, the penny might have been struck on the wrong metal planchet, giving it an unusual color or weight. These are the clues that separate pocket change from fortune. Be careful though. Not every odd-looking penny is valuable. Many are worn, corroded, or damaged. What you're searching for is sharpness, details that stand out, lines that double, a surface that gleams unlike the rest. That's what makes a coin stand apart. That's what collectors crave. Somewhere out there, in a forgotten drawer, in an old coin jar, or in the palm of your hand, a 1973 D Lincoln Memorial penny could be waiting. It could be the coin that changes your life. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up forgotten in a dusty jar of pennies, but instead, it turned into a jaw-dropping fortune. A single 1993 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny shocked the coin world when it sold for nearly $2.5 million. That's right, a penny most people would never even notice, now forever etched in history as one of the rarest treasures hiding in plain sight. Collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers were stunned. And everyday people suddenly started looking at their change with brand new eyes. Because if a single 1993 penny could be worth millions, then the next one discovered could still be hiding in someone's pocket, maybe even yours. To answer that, we need to go back to 1993, a year when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies. Most were struck perfectly, churned out by the machines in endless streams of copper-plated zinc. But somewhere in that flood of coins, something went wrong. Something so tiny, so subtle, that only the sharpest eyes would ever notice. And yet, that tiny flaw turned one coin into a multi-million-dollar miracle. A hidden minting error. A mistake so rare, so nearly impossible, that experts say it should never have happened. But it did. And the moment it surfaced, the world of coin collecting changed forever. But the real story isn't just about a mint error. It's about the breathtaking moment when a man sorting through ordinary change suddenly realized he was holding a piece of history. Imagine that, pulling a penny from your drawer expecting nothing, only to find out it's worth more than most houses. And here's the part that stunned the entire coin world. This penny had no mint mark. Now, for most 1993 pennies, that wouldn't raise an eyebrow. The Philadelphia Mint didn't stamp mint marks on its coins at the time. But the key wasn't just the missing mint mark, it was the error in the strike itself. A subtle misalignment, a faint doubling in the lettering, a small imperfection that separated it from billions of ordinary coins. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Collectors rush to auctions, desperate to see it with their own eyes. Dealers whispered about it like a legend. And when the hammer fell at nearly $2.5 million, gasps rippled across the room. But what happened next stunned everyone even more. Stories began to surface of other rare 1993 pennies, coins hiding with faint doubling on the date, odd die cracks across Lincoln's portrait, or mysterious misstrikes that slipped past the mint's quality control. Suddenly, everyday people were pulling out jars of pennies, scanning them with magnifying glasses, and asking the same question: could I be next? One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. And if history has taught us anything, it's that lightning can strike twice. The answer lies in the chaos of mass production. In 1993, the presses were working at full speed. Dies wore down, machines clashed, and every so often, a mistake was born. A doubled image, a cracked die, a faint misalignment. Most were caught and destroyed. But every now and then, one coin escaped. And that single survivor became a treasure. Dealers still talk about the day the $2.5 million penny was revealed. The stunned silence, the disbelief, the realization that one of the most ordinary years for pennies had produced one of the greatest rarities of all time. And even now, more than 30 years later, collectors still believe more of these treasures are out there, waiting to be discovered. 1993. Next, make sure there is no mint mark beneath the date. That's normal for Philadelphia. But don't stop there. Look closely at the lettering, at the numbers, at Lincoln's portrait itself. Check for doubling, especially on the 1993 or on the word Liberty. Watch for cracks in the die, small raised lines across the coin's surface. Pay attention to the sharpness of the strike. Sometimes the errors are subtle, but once you see them, you'll never forget. Many people miss these details. They glance at a penny, see nothing unusual, and toss it back into circulation. But the ones who look closer, the ones who take the time to study every ridge, every curve, every letter, those are the ones who find treasures worth millions. And here's the secret that few people know. The difference between a common 1993 penny and a record-breaking rarity often comes down to condition. If your coin is pristine, uncirculated, with sharp detail and blazing luster, its value skyrockets. Even small errors can mean a fortune if the coin looks untouched by time. Collectors were shocked when they saw the $2.5 million price tag. But what really lit the fire was the thought that more coins like it might still be out there, hidden in piggy banks, resting in old coin jars, waiting silently in circulation. Just imagine, every time you get a handful of change, you could be holding your future in your palm. One coin, one discovery, could transform your life overnight. This is why the 1993 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny has become a legend. Not just because of its rarity, not just because of its beauty, but because it proves that even the smallest things, the coins we overlook, the pennies we ignore, can hold unimaginable power. And right now, as you hear this, another person somewhere in America may be pulling open an old drawer, shaking out a forgotten jar, and staring in disbelief at a penny they never thought twice about. A penny that could be worth more than $2 million. So check your change. Study every coin, because the next miracle discovery could be yours. And when it comes to the 1993 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, the truth is simple.